Good evening and welcome to NewsNight. Tonight we'll have all your international, national, and local news. I'm Madison Deal.
And I'm Juliana Brock. From archaeological discoveries to Nobel Prize winners, our reporters will have all the need-to-know details here.
Plus, we'll have all the most recent updates on the devastating aftermath of Hurricane Milton.
All this and more coming up on NewsNight.
Archaeologists made an incredible discovery in Armenia this past Friday, uncovering the oldest Christian church to date in the world. This discovery was made in Armenia's capital city, Arataxata, making Armenia the first country to officially adopt Christianity as their national religion during the reign of King Tiridates III. The church is thought to be lavishly decorated with cross extensions, terracotta patterns on the walls, and marble fragments imported from the Mediterranean. Additionally, the church has a unique octagonal structure, something previously unheard of in Armenian churches. The area of the church spans 30 meters in diameter and carbon dates back to mid-4th century CE. The excavation was funded by the German Research Foundation, and the team consisted of archaeologists from Armenia's National Academy of Sciences and the University of Munster, Germany. The find was announced by the University of Munster's Professor Achim Lichtenberger, who says it is a, quote, sensational evidence for early Christianity in Armenia, end quote. This discovery is part of an ongoing study of Hellenistic settlement in the area since 2018. The team will continue excavating and researching Christianity's connections to Armenia's history over the course of the next year.
A British woman was sentenced to life imprisonment after pleading guilty to the murders of her parents 4 years ago and living amongst the bodies in their family home. 36-year-old Virginia McCullough killed her parents in 2019 and lived with her parents' bodies in makeshift tombs for 4 years. On Friday, October 11th, she was sentenced to life in prison and is ineligible for parole for 36 years. Judge Jeremy Johnson stated during McCullough's sentencing that this was a, quote, gross violation of the trust that should exist between parents and their children, end quote. McCullough poisoned her 70-year-old father with prescription medicine that she crushed up and put into an alcoholic beverage. She then beat and stabbed her 71-year-old mother to death the following day. McCullough wrapped her mother's body in a sleeping bag tucked in a wardrobe on the upper level of the house, while she built a homemade mausoleum for her father's body. According to the prosecution, she created a structure, quote, composed with masonry blocks stacked together that she kept in his bedroom. In the years between the murders and McCullough's arrest, she racked up debts on her parents' credit cards and told friends and family her parents were unwell or on a lengthy trip. It was the suspicion of a doctor that led to the Essex police searching the home. McCullough admitted to the murders and confessed that her parents' bodies were in the house when the police searched the home. Police body cam footage captured McCullough saying, quote, I did know that this would kind of come eventually. It's proper that I serve my punishment, end quote. McCullough was also caught on body cam footage telling officers where they could find the weapon she used to kill her mother, along with saying, quote, cheer up, at least you've caught the bad guy. I know I don't seem 100% evil, end quote. McCullough is serving life in prison with 36 years until she's eligible for parole. Embezzlement charges could negatively affect a political leader's ability to run for president. NewsNight reporter Ruthie Light is here with the details on the upcoming trial.
At a Paris court on Monday, far-right French leader Marine Le Pen and her National Rally Party faced trial over suspected embezzlement of European Parliament funds. Previous to the recent charges against Le Pen, the National Parliament and 25 of its top officials stood trial for violating the 27-nation bloc's regulations by using money that was originally intended to go toward EU parliamentary aids to pay staff who had worked for the party between 2004 and 2016. Now, Le Pen is to be questioned by judges until Wednesday over allegedly using EU money to pay for her bodyguard, her chief of staff, and 2 other party aides. As Le Pen is expected to be a strong contender in France's presidential election in 2027, a guilty verdict by the end of the 9-week trial could drastically affect her political career. Although being under a lot of pressure, Le Pen has appeared determined and confident in court, stating, quote, I'm telling you very clearly, I absolutely don't feel I have committed the slightest irregularity, the slightest illegal move, end quote. If found to be guilty, Le Pen and her co-defendants could face up to 10 years in prison and fines up to 1 million euros. Additionally, penalties brought on by the court could stunt her ability to secure a spot in the presidential race at the end of the President Emmanuel Macron's term. Further updates to come as the trial is scheduled to last until November 27th.
This past Friday, the Nobel Peace Prize was awarded to Nihon Hidenkyo, a group of atomic bomb survivors whose goal is to eliminate nuclear warfare worldwide. This comes nearly 8 decades after the initial bombs were dropped, which killed over 120,000 from the initial blast alone. Toroki Yahata, a victim and member of Nihon Hidenkyo, said, quote, "It felt as if a light suddenly shone through. I felt like I could see the light. This feels like the first step, the beginning of a movement toward nuclear abolition," end quote. A Chinese drill results in a day-long blockade of a self-governed state in foreign waters. Reporter Kalyan Winder has the story.
China's launched a record-breaking drill deemed Joint Sword 2024-B surrounding Taiwan after alleged provocation from Taiwan's President Lai Ching-te during a speech on their National Day. The drill consisted of 125 aircrafts and 34 naval vessels, including Coast Guard ships, fighter jets, drones, and blocking the self-governing state for a 25-hour period. 111 of those planes crossed a previously respected yet unofficial demarcation line into Taiwan's air defense identification zone. The Republic of China has backed their actions as a punishment towards Taiwan after President Lai Ching-te stated, quote, "I will also uphold the commitment to resist annexation or encroachment upon our sovereignty," end quote, during the speech in question. China's Taiwan Affairs Office has stated that this exclamation is one of fabrication and nonsense inciting the drill. As a result, allied nations to Taiwan, including the United States and the Philippines, have condemned China's recent actions, with Taiwan's Ocean Affairs Council head Quan Bi-ling stating, quote, "China's exercise, while intended to put military pressure on Taiwan and the international community, has backfired and led to greater international solidarity against China's expansionist behavior," end quote.
A rare weather event has overtaken parts of the Sahara Desert for the first time in decades. Southeastern Morocco recently experienced severe flooding, with the region receiving more rain in 2 days than it typically does in an entire year. This, all caused by an extratropical storm in September, has resulted in newly formed lakes among the sand dunes, including the refilling of Lake Iraqi, which has been dry for around 50 years. These heavy rains have provided the much-needed water to these drought-stricken regions, but have also caused significant amounts of damage, including the loss of at least 20 lives across Morocco and Algeria. Experts are stating that this unusual event was caused by climate change, which could signal more unpredictable weather patterns for the region in the future. Coming up after the break, Hurricane Milton's aftermath has devastating costs for the citizens of Florida. Plus, a woman faces sentencing for the attempted smuggling of something peculiar across national borders. Find out more when we return.
Hurricane Milton's deadly trek through the south coast has finally ended, leaving Florida and other states with extreme damage. After meeting the land near Siesta Key, Florida on Wednesday night at a Category 3 ranking, its path of destruction continued to ravage Florida and surrounding states. There are at least 17 confirmed deaths and billions of dollars of damage to both residential and commercial areas at the hands of the storm. Along with ripping the roof off Tropicana Field, Milton has left over 500,000 Floridians without power as of Monday morning, according to USA Today. President Joe Biden visited Florida a second time this past Sunday, promising an additional $612 million to be used in Florida and the surrounding areas to support civilians affected by this disaster. Specifically, this includes $47 million each for Gainesville Regional Utilities and Florida Power and Light to regain power for the state. This comes after Biden's announcement of federal funding and official declaration of a major disaster in Florida last Friday. Biden said in the visit, quote, "We're going to do everything we can to get power back in your home, not only helping you recover, but to help you build back stronger," end quote. Along with the power outage, more than 2,100 gas stations have limited fuel, according to CBS News. The White House announced on Friday that 1,000 federal personnel remain on ground in Florida, as well as 50,000 workers working on restoring power to hopefully end this forced blackout.
An elevator issue in a Colorado gold mine tourist site trapped guests 1,000 feet underground for almost 6 hours. On Thursday, October 10th, the Molly Kathleen gold mine experienced elevator issues that trapped 23 people and caused one fatality. The Molly Kathleen gold mine, located in Cripple Creek, Colorado, is a family-owned tourist attraction that has been operating for over 50 years. It offers an experience called the 1-hour tour, which takes guests underground where they can ride on a rail car and walk through the mine. Around noon on Thursday, there was an elevator malfunction that the Teller County Sheriff Jason Mikesell described as, quote, "severe danger for the participants," end quote. 11 guests were able to be rescued early. However, 12 more guests were trapped 1,000 feet underground for 6 hours. These guests remained trapped in 50-degree conditions with no restrooms, but were provided with water, chairs, blankets, and a radio. The Colorado Springs Fire Department was able to rescue the dozen trapped underground and released the statement online, reading, quote, "We are thrilled to hear all 12 people who were still inside the Molly Kathleen gold mine have been safely rescued. We're grateful for the work of all first responders who ensured the safety of those still inside. Our condolences go out to the family who lost a loved one tonight. Please keep them in your prayers," end quote. The person who died in the elevator malfunction was identified as 46-year-old Patrick Weir, a tour guide who worked at the mine and a loved one in the community. 4 of the victims were seen by medical personnel, and the cause of the malfunction is still under investigation. For now, the attraction remains closed for the rest of the season. An ex-CEO of an Ohio zoo is facing jail time and major fines for felonious activity. Reporter Ruthie Light has the story. Ruthie?
Ex-CEO of the Columbus Zoo and Aquarium, Tom Stolf, was sentenced to 7 years in prison on 2 second-degree felonies, being aggravated theft and conspiracy by Delaware County Common Pleas Court Judge David Gormley. Alongside his sentence prison time, Stolf was also ordered to pay $315,573. His former employer, Germain Honda, has already paid $400,000 on his behalf. The punishment for the other 13 charges of tampering with records and telecommunications fraud are ran with his sentence. According to Daniel Casares, Ohio Attorney General Special Prosecutor, Stolf's actions were motivated by, quote, "grief and ego," end quote. In addition to Casares' claims, zoo spokeswoman Nicole Gomez says that the $2.3 million criminal enterprise was, quote, "calculated and premeditated thievery that left a profound field of mistrust," end quote. Even Stolf's attorney, Mark Collins, claimed that Stolf was, quote, "selfish and greedy and perpetuated it," even after previously claiming that misconduct was a part of the zoo's culture before Stolf got there. Ron O'Brien, former Franklin County prosecutor, assisted in Stolf's defense. O'Brien said that after the sentencing, Stolf agreed to pay more restitution than he was permitted to. According to O'Brien, quote, "he did that because he wanted to take full responsibility," end quote. Mark Collins has recently stated that Stolf is extremely disappointed in himself and is aware that he deserves time in prison.
On Friday, Wan Yi Ying pled guilty to attempting to smuggle 29 eastern box turtles across a lake located in Vermont by kayak into Canada in June. After agents seized her bag, they found all 29 turtles individually wrapped in socks. The turtles were planned to be sold in Hong Kong on the black market for upwards of $1,000 each. Ying is scheduled to be sentenced in December and faces a fine of $250,000 and 10 years in prison. A cuddly duo makes their debut at the National Zoo in Washington, D.C. Our reporter Cade Montgomery has the story.
That's right, 2 giant pandas have officially arrived at Washington, D.C.'s Smithsonian's National Zoo and Conservation Biology Institute, also known as NZCBI. The pandas Qingbao and Bao Li were flown from China to the United States, and the team at the zoo has worked, quote, tirelessly to prepare for the pandas' arrival, end quote, according to Brandy Smith, the John and Adrian Mars director of the NZCBI. The website describes the giant panda's journey to the United States, writing, quote, they began their journey early in the morning in China aboard a dedicated FedEx Panda Express Boeing 777F aircraft. The approximately 19-hour, 8,250-mile trans-Pacific trip from Chengdu, China to Washington, D.C. included a brief refueling stop in Anchorage, Alaska. The flight arrived at Dulles International Airport in Northern Virginia at 9:52 a.m., where the pandas were loaded on FedEx trucks before heading to the zoo, end quote. The pandas are currently adjusting to their new habitats as well as undergoing a standard 30-day quarantine in the Panda House. They'll make their public debut at the zoo on January 24th, 2025.
North Carolina man William Jacob Parsons was arrested on Monday on public terror charges amidst the slew of misinformation about the agency that has delayed Hurricane Helene recovery efforts. Authorities say that Parsons was armed with an AR-style rifle and 2 handguns. According to Rutherford County Sheriff's Office Captain Jamie Keever, Parsons has made a vague threat that he was going to, quote, go mess up some FEMA personnel, end quote. Since being arrested, Parsons has been released on bail. The threats caused FEMA employees to temporarily stop accepting in-person applications for federal assistance in some of North Carolina's mountain communities. Ashe County Phil House said in a statement that FEMA has paused their process because of threats made against them. He urged residents to, quote, stay calm and steady, help folks, and please don't stir the pot, end quote. When we return, a water main break causes a landslide in a local Pittsburgh neighborhood. Find out what all this affects. Plus, our reporters have the most recent updates on what's happening at Point Park. Stay tuned.
It's a tough crowd.
A local group has stopped a statue of Christopher Columbus's scheduled removal. Christopher Columbus is a notable historical figure accredited with the discovery of America in his voyage in 1492. However, as research has advanced, Columbus can no longer be solely accredited with the discovery. Indigenous advocacy groups around the country have spread awareness of their existence in America before Columbus arrived. In Pittsburgh, an ongoing court case has stalled to remove a controversial statue of the explorer in Shenley Park. The statue, originally commemorated by the Italian Sons and Daughters Association of Pittsburgh, has been standing in the park since 1958 to honor Columbus's Italian heritage. The legal controversy began in 2020 when the Pittsburgh Art Commission voted to remove the statue over concerns of Columbus's historical legacy and treatment of Indigenous people under the watch of the previous mayor, Bill Peduto. The ISDA then filed a lawsuit later that year to stop the removal. In October of 2023, the Commonwealth Court of PA dismissed the lawsuit and voted to allow the city to remove the statue, supported by Mayor Ed Gainey. However, the ISDA hired George Paquetto, a lawyer who specializes in stopping cities from removing Columbus statues. The suit is currently at a stalemate, with Mayor Ed Gainey refusing discussion of keeping the statue, with no end in sight.
A landslide and water main break in Pittsburgh's Polish Hill neighborhood caused up to 6 feet of debris to cover the East Busway. Just before 3 a.m. Friday morning, an apartment complex on the 200 block of Brereton Street experienced a water main break and landslide, causing the apartment complex to be condemned. Around 6 feet worth of trees, dirt, and other debris slid down the hill onto the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. East Busway in the Strip District. Crews worked all day to clear the debris, but there is still no set date for when the busway will be reopened. Dozens of homes in the Polish Hill neighborhood were without water until the water main break was fixed. Mayor Ed Gainey's press secretary, Olga George, told WTAE that the Red Cross will be assisting the apartment complex residents with a place to stay while their building remains condemned. The busway is closed from 26th Street in the Strip District to Neville Street in Oakland and can no longer serve the Heron Station until further notice. There are no injuries reported from the accident, and it is not confirmed that the water main break caused the landslide. Point Park University faculty contract negotiations continue, even amidst the family weekend celebrations. NewsNight reporter Robert Fornatero was on the scene. Here's the story. Robert?
Here at Point Park University, Family Weekend is underway, but it's not just about family festivities this year. Faculty members have gathered outside of Village Park and the Student Center to raise awareness about their ongoing contract negotiations with the university. With no agreement in place since the start of the school year, teachers are hoping to gain support from students and their families. Faculty members say their commitment to educating students remains strong, but their patience is wearing thin. Professors like Mary Beth Irvine from the College of Education are urging students and their families to advocate for a fair and equitable contract.
So we wanted to make sure that we were raising awareness with our entire Point Park stakeholder group, which especially includes students and their families, to let them know that their hardworking and very dedicated faculty have been working since the beginning of the school year without a contract, and hoping that they can help advocate for you as a student and also for us so we can 100% concentrate on what we're here to do, which is to educate you guys and get you ready for your future by getting this contract settled in a way that's fair and equitable for the teaching staff here at the university.
Despite progress on many issues, compensation remains a major point of contention in negotiations. Meanwhile, Family Weekend continues, with President Chris Rusalis sharing the excitement of the events. He expressed optimism about the weekend's activities, interacting with families, and showcasing what Point Park has to offer.
This is awesome. I mean, this is a great start to it. We have a lot of families coming to visit their students, and people are really excited. And I think they have some fun activities planned over the weekend, and the weather's going to be perfect Pittsburgh weather. So it should be a great weekend.
As Family Weekend celebrations continue, Point Park faculty remain strong and committed to getting their message across. With contract negotiations set to resume later this month, they hope that bringing their concerns to the forefront will help move them closer towards a resolution. Reporting from Village Park for UV Television, I'm Robert Fornatero.
Thanks, Robert. NewsNight will continue to provide updates on the state of the contract negotiations. Point Park University was examined as part of a revitalization initiative in downtown Pittsburgh. Reporter Kalyan Winder is here with the plan on how to make these goals a reality. Kalyan?
The Urban Lane is to examine and showcase a presentation on Point Park University and its part in revitalizing downtown Pittsburgh. This report was a culmination of Point Park's previous endeavors and goals coming from our Pioneer Vision 2030 and other planning initiatives from 2023. The goals in question include expanding student enrollment throughout advancing our points of interest, such as athletic and entertainment programs Point Park is known for. President Brusalis made sure to emphasize that enrollment since the start of his tenure has grown 10%. The next would be developing affordable housing, not only for students, but families and adjacent students. This will be done with partnering with close universities like Duquesne. This also includes a bus rapid system between Oakland and downtown by 2027. Much like partnering with local universities, building connections between university and local businesses and/or organizations are all towards the goal of not only revitalizing our college community, but downtown as a whole. For now, we'll have to see over the coming years when and how the university will keep its promises.
Allegheny County Executive Sarah Innamorato proposed a 46.5% increase on property taxes last week. If it passes, the increase could be the biggest since 2011. Inamorado said the massive increase was intended to cover a multi-million-dollar budget deficit and supply her budget of $3.1 billion. The deficit was previously filled by pandemic aid and by drawing from the county's rainy day fund. 5 council members have publicly opposed the bill. Most say other steps can be taken, like hiring and budget freezes, before a tax increase is necessary. The first public hearing for the budget is scheduled for this Thursday, October 17th at 5 p.m. in the courthouse. Point Park University's Pioneer Pantry has recently seen some changes. Our reporter Gabriella Waite has the details on these recent updates. Gabby?
The Pioneer Pantry has moved locations and has a whole new look. What was an online order is now a stop-in storefront for students to access. The Pioneer Pantry has moved locations from the second floor of Lawrence Hall to the first floor of the Academic Hall. The pantry used to be an online form for students to fill out and pick up. Now, it has been refurnished and turned into a store for students to come in and look around, giving students comfort and familiarity. Monet Finley, a graduate student for community engagement, explained why the changes were made to the pantry.
Okay, so I think it's just like we realized just how important this resource was to students, and we wanted to expand on that. And so Dr. Fielder, she saw the opportunity to, bring in more and make it more than what it was. And so we found the space. Dr. Fielder found the space, and then once she did, she started expanding and making it more of a store for the students, so that whenever they come in, they feel, like they're shopping.
Point Park's changes to the pantry is to help students in need and make them feel comfortable. Student Edison Toby gave his thoughts on the pantry and how it is helping Point Park students.
I think the pantry is a good resource for students, a good resource for anyone that works, anyone that's coming from a very far place, new students. I know there's a lot of people that come from, I have friends that come from Mexico. I know people from Jamaica, so just a whole new experience, whole new vibe. So the pantry just being a resource for you to come. And if you don't know the city, you don't know how to access certain things, it always being here, the hours is close to campus, was on campus. I think it's a good resource, and it was a smart move on Point Park's part.
Point Park not only holds their university to high academic standards, but also deeply cares about their students. And the Pioneer Pantry is a testament to that.
Right, so it's just really good knowing that the university cares this much about their students, and the students feel it whenever they're able to use resources like this. And so the impact is just, being able to have food, being able to give food, being able to say, we're not just here to take your money, but we're here to also, support you in anything that you need. And so, Point Park being a well-rounded school that caters to students, in all aspects is why we're making, why it's so impactful right now. So, yeah.
I'm Gabriella Waite, reporting for UView Television.
If you want to check out the Pioneer Pantry, you can find it in Academic Hall, Floor 1, in the back hallway by the Graduate Admissions Office. You can find out more about the pantry and its updates on Point Park's website, pointpark.edu. Plus, you can still place an online order for pickup on their website, pioneerpantry.org. Point Park University is expected to see new updates as a part of the Urban Land Use Initiative. Reporter Cade Montgomery has the details on this new development.
Along with the recently announced Urban Land Use Institution suggestions for Point Park University, the university has also announced a plan for a new downtown community event center. The Pittsburgh Post-Gazette revealed that the venue is set to be a variation of student and convocation center that Point Park has been discussing for several years. They also reported, quote, Mr. Brusalas said the cost of the new events center, still in the conceptual stage, is estimated at $80 million to $100 million. The college is considering 4 to 5 sites for the venue, although Mr. Brusalas would not provide exact locations on most. They're in and around our campus, he said, end quote. The proposed event center is being advanced as Point Park transitioned to an NCAA Division II school at the beginning of the academic year.
Pennsylvania is leading nationwide tallies of whooping cough infections, with a little over 2,000 reported statewide. New York and Illinois trail right behind with 1,800 and 1,000 cases respectively. The CDC has identified at least 16,000 cases of whooping cough nationwide, more than 4 times as many as last year. Whooping cough is a rarely fatal but highly transmissible bacterial infection that leads to severe fits of coughing. Local health professionals say the rise in cases is likely due to declining rates of vaccine immunization. They attribute this to the rise in misinformation on and distrust of vaccines. When we return from the break, a miracle rescue of a Hurricane Milton survivor. Also, stay tuned to hear your local Pittsburgh weather update. Don't go anywhere.
A Florida boat captain is defying the odds after surviving Hurricane Milton. The man was trying to repair his fishing boat and bring it to shore when his boat was suddenly disabled. At around 1:30 p.m. on Thursday, the Coast Guard located him stranded in the water approximately 30 miles off Longboat Key. The boat captain braved the storm with a life jacket, an emergency locator beacon, and a cooler. The hurricane brought 75 to 90 mile per hour winds and 25-foot waves. This rescue was hailed as a miracle, and he is currently recovering at Tampa General Hospital. Fall weather is in full swing, and our weather reporter, Robert Fornatero, is here to let you know how to prepare for your autumn activities with this week's fall forecast. Robert?
Thanks, Addison. Halloween is quickly approaching, and the only thing spookier than spooky season is the freakish weather we've been having recently. From cool, cloudy days to bitter cold and random hailfall, this past week has seen a variety of forecast fluctuations. However, starting tomorrow, the forecast is going to see some improvements from earlier this week. The temperature tomorrow is going to feel a bit warmer than previously, reaching the low 60s with mostly sunny skies. Overnight, the temperature is expected to drop to the low 40s with clear skies and a very low chance of rain. Now, let's take a look at the rest of the week. Things are going to start looking up as the sun is expected to come out over the weekend. Temperatures are anticipated to be in the mid to high 70s with mostly sunny skies and a nice warm feel throughout the days. This forecast is expected to remain the same throughout the beginning of the week. By this time next week, temperatures are expected to drop back down, so make sure you spend some time outdoors and enjoy the sunshine and warm temperatures while they last. Now, let's send it back to Juliana and Addison at the desk.
Thank you for tuning into this episode of NewsNight. If you want to see more, check out our social media pages on both Facebook and Instagram at UView Television.
You can also check out more episodes on our YouTube channel or our website, uview.pointpark.edu. I'm Juliana Brock.
And I'm Addison Deal. From everyone here at NewsNight, thank you for watching and have a great evening.